Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So you are mounted on my new to me Insta360 Pro 2 or 2 Pro gimbal, handheld gimbal with the internal tripod. And I'm still getting the hang of using this thing. So if you flip around in this video, stand by, we're gonna get better. We're back out here on the Jaguar XJS, our 1989. Picked this up for a little under $2,000 and then got it tagged and titled and paid the taxes. So under $2,000 out the door. And we've got a all OG Jaguar XJS with the V12. And if you watch the previous videos, if you would, by the way, give me a thumbs up and watch those other videos and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've got a lot of information from you other YouTubers out there. Living with the Classic. Thank you so much for what you do. Got a lot of information, so sorry if I'm repeating what's on that channel. But on this particular car, I've kind of used some of his tips and advice to get to where we're at today. So what we've done is flushed out the fuel tank, got new fuel in it, changed the fuel filter. I took a little plastic hammer while I was priming or running the fuel pump and tapped on that. Fuel pump comes on fine, it cuts off, accumulates pressure just fine, especially up here in the front on the fuel lines. All those fuel lines were purged out. I ran a fuel tube with a zip tie on it down into a gas can, and then flipped on the ignition a few times, and man, it was like milky foam orange crud that came out of those fuel lines underneath the car that run up to the accumulators. And I did both sides of the fuel rail. So I took off the fuel line right here, ran this down into the fuel tank or fuel can, and then I did the same thing on that side, on that accumulator, ran it on that side. So I know I've got fresh fuel in the car. Now, what I've done is I put about a liter of water, just plain old distilled water, and filled up the antifreeze or the coolant fill here, and also the expansion tank. We have a little bit of a rust area on that expansion tank, so I have a little bit of a drip underneath the car on that side. So we'll have to repair that, I know. But other than that, I don't see any other leaks. I did take out the the air fuel filters on both intake manifolds here and also on the driver's side. And I will show you on the passenger side, it looked pretty good. I mean, these are old and the filter element almost feels like cardboard now. But that is the passenger side. So it looks somewhat decent, right? Here's the driver's side. So these would go in there kind of like that. And look at that. It's kind of oily and cruddy. And what's on the driver's side of this car is the power steering pump and some other things over in there, you know. So I think it was probably getting some road grime and crud like that from over in that area, and it was going up in that filter just on that side. And it could have a weak injector or a weak spark plug. So what I've done so far, cleaned, purged the fuel tank, filter, purged the lines of the fuel rail. I went through and with my multimeter, I tested the ignition amplifier over there, and I removed the cruise control little bellows here. I removed the distributor cap because I was thinking maybe with that open vent holder, it might have got a spider web down in there or some kind of bee or something. It was clean. That distributor cap looks fairly new. Same with the rotor. I tested the ohms coming out of the distributor on the little, you know, the pickup solenoid thing that's in there. It was 2.2 to, I think, 4 ohms. So that tested good. The only thing with that, those wires coming out of the distributor, is that they're not plasticky feeling, if you will. They're not like this plastic normal wire. It felt rubbery. Different type of wire sheath or something. So I looked online, and one of those little magnetic, you know, you got the star wheel on there, exciter wheel, I guess they are, and then you've got that little magnetic pickup coil solenoid with the plate that goes in the distributor. One of those is like $285. So good that tested right. That could still be our issue. I know that I'm getting spark. I tested when I turned over the engine I disconnected the main coil here and ran my spark plug tester, just those cheap, you know, about that long, you get a Harbor Freight or whatever, spark plug tester with the incandescent bulb inside, and I'm getting a decent spark, not real bright or anything like that, but and then I tested a couple of the wires themselves that go to the spark plugs, and those were fine. So tested the ignition amplifier, tested the wires coming out of the distributor, made sure that all the wires were connected and the prongs, that when we didn't have any broken items like that. I disconnected the coolant temperature gauge over there, and then I tried to test fire this car. And what it did was it turned over just fine. It caught on a couple of cylinders. It seemed like it was on the passenger side bank. It revved up to about 2,000 RPM, and then it would just die. And I just could not figure out what was going on. So I went back and retraced my steps. And one other thing I did was I tested the line off the crossover tube here that goes, that little rubber that goes back to the ECU, because if that's clogged, that tells how much vacuum is in the engine, tells the ECU basically RPMs and how much fuel and air is in the car, and how it runs, from what I understand. So, but what I did was, when I disconnected this coolant temperature gauge, I did not jump. I didn't put a paper clip or anything in there to jump that. So if we have a bad coolant temperature gauge, and I just disconnected, basically what was happening, my understanding, is that the ECU was thinking it was like negative 60 degrees outside. And if you know anything about aviation, or you know anything about condensation and pressures, basically colder air holds more oxygen molecules, which means you would need more fuel to make a fire in that for a given amount of oxygen. So if it's negative 60, that means this thing was the ECU was thinking, oh, you need a lot more fuel to fire. So it was dumping double pulses of injection of fuel in there, and I think I flooded it. So I got a couple of puffs of smoke out of the back tailpipe on the passenger side, it looked like in the mirror. So what I did was, I am going to go get a paper clip. I will short circuit or jump the coolant temperature gauge. I took off the air cleaner and air filter housings, left them open. I took a screwdriver, and this is my little indicator to make sure that I remove it. But I pinned open with a screwdriver right here the throttle linkages, so the butterfly valves in the intake manifolds are wide open. And that was to hopefully, you know, if we've got a couple of cylinders with the open intake valve, that'll help getting that excess fuel out of there. And then anything that's in the intake manifolds themselves, you know, between the injectors and down into the cylinder head, hopefully that'll evaporate over. So I ran my little fan over here and got good flow for a couple of days. And so in the next video, I'll come back and I'm going to start this car on video, and you'll see what it's doing. And hopefully it'll fire over just right with this, because that might have been our huge problem with too much fuel or something. Because when I floored the car, when I held the accelerator all the way down, it seemed like it wanted to run better, or it would catch on the cylinders better. I have not gone with my little multimeter probes and taken my 9-volt battery and kind of tapped on the injectors just to see if they're working. I want to see if I can get this thing running before I do that. And if we have to stuck injector, I'll come back and do that, or I'll do them all at that time. No sense in trying to do that before we get a good fire here. So, all right. So with the battery connected, all the window on this side works, all the switches, all the gauges come on. I don't get fuel levels, so I think our sending unit back in the back is bad, or maybe up here in the instrument cluster. I had the window rolls down, all the seat belts, or both seat belts anyway, on the passenger driver side, they do retract, and they automatically do that whenever you open and close the door. I get that buzzer, because that drives me nuts whenever this door is open. You have your little buzzer cutoff there. And all the interior lights work, with the exception of the one that's up here on the top, up there by the rearview mirror. But Yeah, I don't know if there's a switch bad or a motor bad on the passenger side, but that window didn't roll down or up. The radio came on, and I kind of got some crackling out of speakers. I don't know how old those speakers are, but 1989 probably, and don't know if they're blown or anything like that, but I got some crackle, so the radio seems like it works. I still need to put the code in there. Obviously, I'm not going to do that until I get a permanently installed battery. Right now, I'm just using the one that I took out of the Volvo, and I'm using jumper cables back here in the trunk so I can connect and disconnect. And then obviously, I got my fire extinguisher over there, and I open the door to make sure we're safe in here. Couple of things. I discovered in my research and watch other YouTubers and stuff like that, that two things. Well, number one, the most important sensor on the car is that coolant temperature sensor over there, and there is what's called a inertia cutoff switch. And what that does is, in the event of an accident, the inertia, or the propelling motion forward, would cause the switch, the safety switch, to trigger, kind of like a breaker, a circuit breaker, and it would cut off the fuel supply to the injectors, and that would hopefully help prevent fire in the event of a crash. And where that inertia circuit switch is, or cutoff switch, is right here on the door. And it's got this little plunger, so if you pull it up, see how it's red? That means it's cut off, and you lift it up until it stops, push it back down, it resets. So I went ahead and reset that just to make sure, you know, maybe that was a problem. It wasn't. Still same thing, no fire, no run anyway. And then one thing I need help, guys, is I don't know if you Brits have real tiny, skinny feet, but I wear a size 12 shoe. And for the life of me, when I'm pressing down the accelerator, my foot is hitting the brake pedal. There is about a 1 millimeter distance between the accelerator pedal and the brake pedal. So I don't know if that pad's on upside down. I might try to switch that, but if there's a way to move that brake pedal this way, because there's not enough room between the transmission hump in the car and the accelerator pedal and my wide size 12 going over to the brake pedal. I basically had to put my toe up in there and use the very tip of the accelerator pedal, and I was still hitting the back of the brake pedal. That's kind of dangerous. And so if anybody out there knows how to adjust those, or if I can adjust them, let me know in the comments below. Thank you. So let's wrap this one up. I know it's been several videos here of me standing out here talking about this car, but you know, the initial preps and all this is an antique car to me. I mean, it's, you know, it's 35, 40 years old now in 2020, we're going on 2026. And, you know, in this condition with 2,000 miles on it, I mean, we've got a little Mickey Mouse stuff like that broken cap on the windshield washer fluid, and you know, we got some leaks down there. We've got, you know, little stuff like this, like a broken connector that we can repair at a later time. So, but it cleaned up nicely. Got the engine all cleaned up initially, anyway, and obviously in the video where I'm laying on the ground, I've got underneath cleaned up as well. And so I will come back in the next video. I'll open at the door here, and I'll put you on a tripod. I'll go ahead and clean the windshield here so you can see inside the car when I turn the key. Yeah, we'll try to turn this thing over. I'll see what, you'll watch exactly what it's doing with me, and we'll go from there. We'll test, if we get it running, then what we'll do is we'll go back and see if our charging system is working. And then from there, it's just basically Mickey Mouse stuff, you know, repairing the paint and cleaning up the car, getting a couple of the dings out of the doors, and then taking about 4 hours per wheel and polishing up these wire wheels, these Jaguar wheels. Cool, huh? Hey, one more thing. When I turned on the key and I pressed on the gas pedal, the accumulator valve in our ABS system and everything clicked and purged and did all it needs to do. The fuel pump does develop pressure. It comes on for 3 or 4 seconds, and I hear it turn on and then pressurize the fuel system. So I know we've got good fuel pressure. I haven't put a gauge on there, but I know because when we were flushing it out, it came on just fine. And then when I wrapped on that fuel pump with that little plastic hammer, it kind of helped get whatever crud might have been stuck in the fuel pump itself. Now, the good thing is on these cars, the fuel comes out of the tank into the surge tank, that little small tank down here. And it's got the filter before it goes into the fuel pump, right? So this goes like this. There's a filter in here, goes into the pump, up through there, and then goes up to the fuel rail. So there was good fresh fuel, but it was just old and cruddy and cloggy and stuff was in it. So 15 years of sitting. The neatest thing is, I actually have lights in the trunk area back here that come on. All the lights work with the exception of the one up there in the front. And then I don't think the license plate works. These license plate illumination bulbs might be burned out, but I do get a bulb burnt signal on the dash in there. And again, I don't get fuel level. I don't know if it's the fuel sending unit, level sending unit back here, or if it's the gauge cluster itself. We'll get into that later on. That's a Mickey Mouse fix. And I'm not getting oil pressure, and obviously not because it's not running, and obviously I don't get coolant temperature on the gauges. But other than that, it shows a bulb burned out, and then I don't get the one side, there's two master warnings, the big red one and the orange one. I don't have any of those, so we'll jump in there and get you on a tripod, and I'll get you set up. And then I've got another FYI DIY project out here in the driveway. My neighbor bought a car for his daughter, so he needs a misfire on cylinder number 3, and it's a 4-cylinder Toyota Camry, and those engines are pretty much indestructible. It's only got like 100 and something thousand miles on it, and misfire cylinder 3. So plugs and coils, and then we'll see if there's an injector. He said he put some of that Techron stuff in there, but I'll talk more about that car whenever we get outside, and I'll shoot another video on that project. So hopefully real quick little Saturday afternoon fix. So thanks so much for watching, and again, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you hadn't. Thanks so much for the other YouTubers out there showing everybody how to do this stuff. I use your resources as well. Hopefully you're getting a lot of information on what I'm going through fixing this old to me car. And, if I can do it, you can do it. Don't be scared. Get out there, learn as you go. Buy you a car that's reasonably priced. You can get American made. And if you're in the US and you can get parts fairly cheap, these older cars, probably not something to start with, in my opinion, because the parts are expensive and sometimes they're not readily available. You can't just typically go down to your local Napa or AutoZone or O'Reilly's or Advanced Auto Part and just get every single little thing. Maybe spark plugs and stuff like that, and tires, brake pads. But whenever you start getting into Lucas distributors and Lucas ignition, and whenever you need to go find a specific lens cover for a light, those get a little bit scarce. So again, if I can do it, you can do it. And thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good day, and thanks for watching the channel.